Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial. In this video I'll be showing you how to do bust caging for your cup corset. This is the outcome of the one that I made. I fixed it to one part so it's remaining the other part and it's standing well. So I got the pattern for the cup from the cup corset that I drafted, and I'll be dropping the link in the description box. So I'll be using lining, the fabric, and peplum stay and boning for this tutorial. So right now I'm placing the pattern to cut out the lining and the fabric. So I'll be cutting the lining first. So you just keep the pattern on the fabric, and then you make sure you keep it on fold so that you'll be cutting the two parts together at the same time. And then you can use your pin to hold it firm to the fabric so that when you are cutting it doesn't shift. Now there is a bust dart on one part of the cup, so make sure that you close it well. Now I'm adding half-inch seam allowance around the cup, round the cup, so that I'll be using it to sew it to the main fabric. It's very essential that you pin it well while cutting so that you'll be able to cut it correctly. You'll be able to add your seam allowance correctly to it. Okay, so I also use it to cut the peplum stay. I use the peplum stay for this. You can use your wadding, light wadding, or gum stay, something that can be ironed to the fabric. Okay, so I used the lining that I've already cut to cut out the peplum stay and also the main fabric. Okay, so right now I've joined the piece for the peplum stay together, and then I'll be marking out how I will sew the boning on it. The first thing I'll be doing is to mark out the seam allowance on it, that I'll be using it to join to the bodies, okay, the main bodies of this the upper parts of the cloth. So I'm marking out the seam allowance, which is half an inch. I mark it round. Then I will now be creating the channels for my boning in the remaining parts of the cup. So you can mark distance of 1.5 or distance of 1.75 depending on how big this your cup is. Mine is not too big, okay, so I'll mark out the distance the way I want it horizontally, and then I'll be marking out another one vertically. I'll be sewing one on the seam allowance in the middle part, okay, so I'll create another two other channels by the side. So I created one by one side and then one by the other side. It doesn't mean that this is like standard. It all depends on how full you want yours to be, but this is just like a guide for you, okay. So I'm able to mark out like 4 lines horizontally and 3 lines vertically. So now I'll measure each of them to know what to cut out for my boning. All right, so I'll be cutting out the boning for each of those lines that I've marked out. Okay, so right now I'll be taking it to the sewing machine to sew them with it. Okay, so I'll sew the first line. Just keep fixing it. There are two smooth parts on the bony, so I'm sewing on those, on the smooth area of the bony. I'm sewing it down to the cup area. So you sew the first line and then you turn and sew the second line also. So this is what we are going to do for all the lines that have been drafted out in the cup. Okay, in order to make it have a firm, um to make it firm. Okay, now if there is any excess from your bony, you can trim it off. So after sewing the horizontal one, now I'm be sewing the vertical one. So I sew on that seam allowance. One will be on the seam allowance that I use in joining the cup, and then the other ones will be by the sides. So I'm sewing it to the last part of the vertical lines that I've drawn. Now the next thing I'll be doing is to sew round the edge. Mind you, you are not going to sew on the seam allowance. That's the seam allowance that we have marked out. That point that you mark will just guide you. The pin around that area will guide you to sew round the edges of the ones that you have sewn before, to give the area firmness also. So you can see that while sewing it, I did not exceed the line that I've already marked out, so that I don't sew on the seam allowance. If you sew on your seam allowance, your garment is not going to relax well. So I trim off all the excess thread and then sew the main fabric so that I can iron it on the main fabric. You may also decide to have an interlining, that's you iron it on a lining fabric before ironing it on the main fabric, then you now put another lining. It all depends on what you want. So I'll be wrapping the fabric around the cup that I've sewn, and since it has gum, the peplon stay already has gum, so it's just to iron it. But if you want to have a smooth look, you can have an interlining. You can iron it to an interlining first before ironing it to the interlining to the main fabric. It all depends on what you want. Okay, so this is how it looks like. I'm going to iron it and fix it together. Now this is the lining. Now there are two methods. You may decide to join your lining to the lining part of the um bodies of your project, of your corset, or you use the lining to turn the cup. Okay, so this is a sample of using the lining to turn the cup. You turn the cup with the lining before you fix it to the bodies. Okay, so these are the two cups that we have made. You can see that it's looking nice. So right now I'll be turning it with lining, if that is what you want. Like I said, you can also decide to fix this lining to the cup area of your lining. Okay, so that you just turn all together when you are turning the neckline of your clothes. So if you are turning with lining like this, after sewing it to the upper part, you're going to notch it so that you can turn it to the other side. You can see that this tutorial is very easy, it's beginner friendly. Please watch the video where I drafted the cupped corset that I brought the pattern for this from. Okay, I'll be dropping the link to the video in the description box. If you have found this tutorial helpful, please kindly give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, please kindly subscribe. You can see the outcome is very beautiful. Thank you.